Hello, friends!
Hello!
Welcome to Discovery 8, covering Si Vis Pacem Parabellum. Oh, really? Just the world's wankiest title, but never mind. We do have a bit of...
Previously on Star Trek Discovery.
And we've heard from Wayne.
Who writes, mad magic skills to make mad men go sane or something. I mean, that's nothing compared to this week's.
Yeah.
After, you pronounce it Lethe, felt like Discovery was finally hitting its pace, this one, I'll call it magic for the sake of both brevity and sanity, steered it off the road into a tree. Discovery is a new take on Star Trek. Darker and edgier, and whilst normally the idea of something being grimmed up makes my eyes roll, I've been pretty okay with Discovery so far. Clearly the writer of Magic didn't get the memo. In fact, I'm not convinced this one had a writer. I think they just found a rejected TNG script under the armchair. The first time the ship exploded and we were reset to the party, I heaved a heavy-hearted sigh and muttered, "Oh, it's one of those episodes." For a start off, I hated mud. I call characters like this Moriarty characters. Written cleverly, they can be entertaining, but quite often they're just inexplicably omniscient and omnipotent. When Mudd stepped out of the whale in the first place, he should have been down within seconds. He's an interstellar Del boy, and no match for highly trained Starfleet personnel, no matter how surprised they are. Also, what the hell was he wearing? An Andorian helmet? It looked goofy as hell and totally out of place in Discovery.
That did look very silly, yes.
Next, Mudd seemed to be able to wander about the ship freely, again, taking out Starfleet personnel with impunity. Whenever any of them do get a phaser levelled on him, there's magically a force field in just the right place. It was so stupid it made me want to hurl things at the TV in frustration. He made Lorca look like an incompetent doofus after 6 weeks of building him up to be a scary bugger. And in the end, what was this murderous psychopath's punishment? Carted off against his will to a loveless marriage by people in TNG fashions. Oh, my aching sides, hilarious. Time crystals can get fucked too. They made me tut in Doctor Who, never mind Discovery. The only positive I have about this one is Stamets. Even then, whilst I approve his character change, it's changed very suddenly in the space of 2 episodes, and it feels less like character progression and more like the writers lost faith in the character after the first few episodes and wanted to reboot him.
Oh, well, more of that later.
This should have been done far more gradually. I did, however, like that it was him and not Burnham that was aware of the time loop, and he had to repeatedly convince her. Also at the party, they're playing Staying Alive. Do you get it? Huh? Nah. Not seeing what everyone loves about this one. For me, it's Discovery's first stud episode and has largely derailed the good work done in Lethe. I hope the next episode gets it back on track. P.S. It suddenly occurred to me that the title sequence, how similar the back end of the disco is to a D7, the proper ones. I wonder if that's intentional.
I doubt it.
So I really liked that episode.
And it was dark. It did have its moments of dark. Let's face it. That was one of my problems with it. Was the way that he was Mudd kept killing Lorca. That just seemed completely out of character with the rest of the episode. But there we are. Let's find out what tonight's is like.
Kelpians are born afraid. It's how we survive. My whole life, I have never known a moment without fear. Not one moment. Until now. There will be time to grieve. This is not that time.
You're listening to a Geek Planet Online community podcast. For more free entertainment, including podcasts and videos, visit us at geekplanetonline.com.
Yes, okay, so I'm not even going to try and pronounce that rubbishy Latin title again, but it stands for If You Want Peace, Prepare for War. Quite know what that's got to do with the episode, but there we are. It was a phrase originally coined by Publius Flavius Vegetus. There's
Vegetable.
a name. Yes, apparently drawing from ideas in Plato. And
it's his vegetables idea, so we can call this episode Vegetable.
Maybe. It's the motto of various military units around the world, including the Royal Navy, apparently.
Oh. Right.
So, yes.
Okay.
So our episode itself, I like the look of the Gagarin. Yet another ship I wish was the actual ship that's featured in this series. That was very cool. I mean, admittedly we didn't get to see enough of it, but there we are. No, that looked nice, that did. But then I still don't like the Klingon ships. I mean, the little, what they call the birds of prey are okay-ish. Not that we ever see much of them, but the big ones just look rubbish with a shiny lights.
They're not really birds of prey, are they? More, I don't know, wrens of wrath or something.
Wrens of wrath, okay. But I guess it's nice to have a bit of space battlage. It feels like we've had a little while since we've had some of that, so that's okay.
Yeah, you do get the distinct impression at this point that they are losing the war, whereas you thought the Discovery had turned the tide earlier on.
Yes, and now it's going to pot or something.
Yeah.
It's to do with the cloaking device, isn't it, that the guy's sharing around like sweeties, so yeah. Ariam gets a name checked finally, which is nice.
And you get the other dude, his name.
Yes, although I can't remember his name now.
No, I don't either. One of us should have written it down.
It was Daz or Baz or something like that, wasn't it? I don't know, but yes, he did get a name, that guy. Yeah. And then we get the singing planet, which is a nice bit of Trek science. I like that. That was good, and it looked an unusual location. It wasn't, where Trek normally shoots stuff. If anything, all that wooded stuff kind of reminded me of numerous shows that are filmed in Canada. I don't know whether this Discovery is or not, but it was quite refreshing, actually, because we got so used to Tillman water reclamation plant and all that business, and those damn caves in Deep Space Nine, that this was quite a pleasant change, really. But they do like their blue light effects, don't they? Whoever's in charge of effects clearly is very wedded to this. I mean, we had it with the tardigrade, and now whatever, I didn't catch the name of the species on this planet, but that's just...
The Parvans.
Yes, it's just much the same, isn't it? It's a bit lazy, really, isn't it? I mean, they could have coloured it red or purple or anything, but no. And Next Generation had that, didn't it? Went through phases of using like green lights for things for a while, and everything was green, spooky lights. So it's a Trek thing. It's just a bit of a lazy thing, unfortunately. And the mention of General Order 1 is a nice bit of continuity. It makes a change from praising the continuity in this series, because I think that was what the Prime Directive was called before it was called the Prime Directive, wasn't it? So, well done on that.
Yeah.
Back on the ship, we seem to have lost Stoned Smitty, though, which is a shame, because I liked Stoned Smitty.
Yeah.
So I was all on board for that change, but no, he's back to being Grumpy Pants now.
No, but I think it's because he's freaking out, because he doesn't know what time zone he's in when he comes out, does he?
Yeah, but as I say, I preferred him stoned, personally. It was a vaguely interesting development with Admiral Greggs and Snow Queen Klingon.
Yeah.
Again, names. I'm not doing very well on names in this series, but, difference was with previous Trek series, I'd always seen them multiple times, so I'd much better grasp on the names, whereas this, of course, we're recording straight after watching episodes. I'm afraid we are struggling here.
Yeah, it was something like Bellor, wasn't it?
I don't know. No, I literally didn't catch it. But it was interesting, that female dynamic. Again, we're so rarely seen. And there's the two women seemingly working together. Are they, aren't they? There's a whole thing there going on about whether she's actually knocked her out on purpose, or she says she wants to escape. And then I quite liked the way that worked out. That was quite good.
Well, I think she is telling the truth, because she stages the fight, doesn't she? And then right at the end, he says, he knows that she's been lying. Yes, so there's definitely a huge chunk of unfinished business there, and we don't know whether Greggs has escaped or not. But I mean, she was definitely moving a bit when she got dragged into that room, so she's not dead. And also, she says, doesn't she? Oh, I'm going to avenge you.
Yeah, because there's a bunch of dead Klingons. But the problem is, I don't know whether these are Klingons we've seen before. It's so hard to tell because they look so odd. And some of them were properly dead, though, weren't they? Arms missing and all sorts. But yeah, it's very difficult to invest in these Klingons. Yeah. It has to be said, because A, most of the time they're not behaving like Klingons, and B, they just look so damn weird. So it's just a huge mistake they made there. I can't help feeling, but I mean, if they'd made them look like proper Klingons, we'd have been a lot more invested in it, wouldn't we? But never mind.
Lorel.
Is it? There we are. You've done a bit of wikieing there, did you? Okay.
Yeah, I can't bring up Man's name because I don't have a frame of reference at all. Whereas at least, do you know what I mean? I knew roughly what I was looking for with the with the Klingons. Lorel.
Anyway, then you have all the business with Doug Buggers going a bit sort of space hippie on us. Is this Discovery's take on space hippies? I don't know, but at least he's not playing guitars and strumming and stuff. But yeah, it's kind of his turn to be spaced out for a bit, isn't it? But they do give me their communicators a bit too readily. I can't help feeling it's like, come on, you must know something's wrong.
Yeah, they look a bit suspicious and still hand them over, and yeah,
a nice bit of tension there. And I like Doug Buggers, the Flash, was quite good.
Yes, yeah. with the fast running experience. But also I do like at the end, the explanation and everything is that because they are a highly evolved prey species as opposed to predator species, they're always living in fear. Mm-hmm. They don't know any other way. And he finally wasn't frightened anymore and didn't want to let it go.
Yeah.
Which, you know, I kind of like as an explanation and whatever for him and the species or whatever. I kind of like that.
I was surprised Michael didn't nerve pinch him. I thought she kind of had an opportunity to do that rather than trying to hit him with a stick. But there we are.
Or maybe she didn't have the height to do it in the right place.
She was right up next to him at one point, and I was really expecting her to do it, but she didn't. It was like, okay. Presumably for reasons of plot. Yeah. But, you know, this whole planet of interconnectedness, it's sort of Gaia-ish thing, isn't it? But I don't think Trek's really done Gaia before now, has it? So, you know, this is quite nice. This is exploring new life forms. This is the most Trek this series has felt, this episode, for me, anyway. With sort of the exception of the Klingon stuff, it actually felt like, yes, this is the territory we're used to here, so... Yeah,
I liked it. I also like that you got... Like, the series writers haven't forgotten that Michael started in prison, and when she and... What's his face? Whose name I should know.
Oh, yeah, he's the dude from Toasted London. He's not... Is it Clem Fandango?
Yes, I can hear you, Clem Fandango.
I think that's Clem Fandango.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, when they're talking and he's talking about going back to his lake house, and she's like, "No, I'm going back to prison."
To my prison. Yeah.
Yeah.
Could have done without the kissy, but I suppose these days you've got to have that sort of thing, haven't you? But yeah. Hey ho. And nice sort of cliffhanger-ish ending.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm kind of surprised this wasn't the one before the break, really, because that would have made some sense with the Klingons turning up. But presumably there's yet another cliffhanger to happen at the end of the next episode.
Yeah, presumably. I wonder if it will be as blue.
Yeah, of course, yes. Can we have another colour, please? You're wearing the blue out on my telly. We'll have to stop pouring more blue paint in the back to make it work properly again or something. Because that's how it works, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I liked this bringing back some things that the previous episode had sort of left off.
Yes, the last episode does feel like a bit of a blip, doesn't it, now? Where sort of, again, like, you know, they were attempting to do comedy, but yeah, they completely forgot about Admiral Greggs for an episode and then came back to her in this one.
Yeah, which I'd say...
And this is enabled Doug Buggers to have a bit more screen time as well. I mean, he's really not been doing much the past 3 episodes, so that'll make certain people happy. Wayne, for starters, I think.
Yeah. No, I liked this one. I thought it was good.
Me too. This has been my favourite episode so far. Yes. So there we are.
Cool.
What did other people think?
Have we got anything with the Llama God singing in it?
I don't know. That we'll find out later.
Okay.
We've heard from Doreen.
I'm enjoying Discovery, but then I've not got too attached to accepted Star Trek history and canon. Therefore, I'm much more able to take it as a standalone like Ammo. I liked the 70s disco on the disco. I've developed a probably silly headcanon retcon for the changing Klingon look. Given the Klingons are predators, or certainly not a prey species like Sarus, it would be quite an evolutionary advantage to completely change appearance every generation or so. Especially if the Klingons have been a spacefaring species for a long time, it would mean species they encounter and fight or conquer would not recognise the new-look Klingons, which may explain why it's taboo for Klingons to talk about the changes. And perhaps their culture and technology changes for the same reason. But even I didn't like them using dead bodies as fallen warriors as shields around ships. And I don't like the disco Klingon teeth. And the subtitles, although that's probably just me being one of those lazy people who won't read the subtitles.
I tell you what's really annoying, because I'm making notes as it's going along. It's very hard to make notes and read the subtitles at the same time.
Very hard. She says, I wonder if Michael is an NCO now she's been stripped of her rank. And given she always calls herself Specialist Burnham in her logs, Anthony, my husband, doesn't think she's an NCO. Is she just in a unique class of her own? Are there ensigns, officers, NCOs and specialists? Oh, and the Bajoran security force. Specialist was in Battlestar, wasn't it?
Yes. It's definitely a naval thing, specialist. Yes.
So it might be that in future Starfleet it doesn't exist as a rank.
I think they've slightly done away with it. But yes, it is a thing in current days parlance, so why not?
She says, I like the titles, they make me think of Fringe. I haven't seen that. I'm not too sure what to make of the bit where there seems to be a whale, which the Discovery seems to be flying out of the mouth of, only for the drawing to turn into some kind of Venus flytrap flower thing, though.
Oh, I think is that the credits?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it's all very bit curious, but yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dory.
I like your Klingon retcon thing.
Yeah, I can't help feeling that Starfleet would have noticed them changing appearance on a regular basis, so that the whole thing in Trouble and Triples wouldn't have been an issue. But anyway, Wayne, we've heard from about this episode. Yes, Civis Pacem Parabellum or something. Yeah, quite. That's the most annoying thing about this episode is that dumb title. But never mind. Back on the rails, back to where we left off with the captured Admiral Cornwell, whatever, past
Greg's.
Yeah. And we finally visit an alien planet for, I think, the first time since the pilot episode. Yes, this is true. And it's a proper alien planet with blue flora and light aliens. Are they meant to be a bit of a reboot of the Organians? Oh, there's an interesting thought. They were also light aliens and also brought the Feds and the Klingons together and told them to behave. Stamets, that's his name, isn't it? Yes, I call him Smitty all the time, but anyway. Seems to be unstuck in time, and the IDGAF Lorca is back.
I don't give a fuck.
Oh, right, okay. Yay. I'm not really getting any chemistry between Burnham and Tyler. Oh, is Tyler Clem Fandango? That makes some sense. They seem to be falling for each other because reasons, really. It's not enough. Yeah, I think it's fair to say it's fairly forced, isn't it? Also, what exactly was the Klingon woman's plan? Well, yes, this is what we couldn't quite work out. Escape with Admiral Corman's pasty and defect. Blow up the ship. Pretend to kill the Admiral. Leave a body in the corpse room and swear vengeance. Pretend to Cole that the pasty escaped. Pretend to join Cole. Get imprisoned by Cole. Not really seeing a through line, if I'm honest, but I'm interested to see where it goes. It does seem a bit all over the place as plans go, doesn't it? But there we are. And she's obviously making it up on the fly.
I think she had a plan that was one particular plan, and when the guards see her and question her, and she has to change it on the fly.
Yeah.
And so she's on a plan B.
All right. I'm guessing there'll be an almighty mid-season cliffhanger next week to keep us on pins until the middle of January. Yes, I rather suspect there will be, but there we are. And yes, we do have some MP3 feedback from the Llama God, although I think he did promise that it wouldn't involve singing. So let's see.
Llama God's log. Scotty, Chekji, Unya, Cheer. After a dramatic and distressing opening, we shift to a planet where we find an intrepid team of 3 walking round, examining blades of grass that... No, we're not doing that again. No, don't worry. I'm not evil enough to subject you to that. Well, not twice anyway. Anywho, so yeah, it's a bit of a tonal shift this week from the crazy antics of last week's episode. But yeah, I like this episode as well. I'm not entirely sure what Peter's going to make of this, given that we kind of have a Will-o'-the-Wisp type episode, and that this is yet another slightly far-out alien planet concept. I mean, I'm sure some people are going to draw parallels between this and Avatar, and I wish I just hadn't, because that's kind of defeating my own argument. But the whole idea of this entire planet being alive, a very different life form to the sort of life form we usually get. I mean, it's definitely not more actors with bumpy-headed prosthetics. So, you know, it makes a change. I like that they're exploring something different. And also we get a bit of a look into Saru's people and species and the way they act and what makes them different. So, yeah, no, I liked what was going on with the planet and how you can approach the resolution to the war in different ways, which is as the Pavlovs, not Pavlov, whatever they are, as the Will-o'-the-Wisps clearly decided for themselves. Shifting straight to the end of the episode, it looks like we're going to be setting up another Organian peace treaty, so this is going to be interesting. Obviously not Organian, but, you know, this is it's a bit of a retread, isn't it? But, yeah, we'll see where this goes. It's intriguing. Oh, and of course I should also mention, you know, the romantic stuff that happens down the planet. So, yeah, it's nice. I like that. Has some implications, but yeah, I'm kind of like seeing the characters progressing that way. As to everything that was happening on the Klingon ship, yeah, I'm not entirely sure what was going on there. Obviously, Torture Klingon, Laval, I'm doing badly here, this is the age creeping in. She's obviously from the House of Liars and Deceivers, or whatever it was, so naturally I didn't trust any of what she was saying in this episode, and obviously I was assuming it was a ruse to get Admiral Briggs out of her cell, but I'm quite surprised that Admiral Briggs was left for dead. I assumed she was going to be, you know, a new part of a ruse, and I'm still not convinced she's dead. Is she dead? I don't know. And what was really interesting was the room where the bodies had been dumped. It looked like they'd been carved up. Is this how Cole has actually been feeding his crew? They've become cannibals? this is, that's quite dark, and maybe if Admiral Greggs is dead, she's probably going to end up in some sort of pasty, which would be fitting given the pasty-headed Klingons. But yeah, definitely everything going on in the Klingon ship this week, and the episode as a whole seemed like it was half an episode. I mean, clearly we're going to have the mid-season finale next week, and it felt like it was just building to that, apart from stuff on Pavo, which was a good and interesting story in itself, but it felt like, the resolution it was all just set up for next week, and I really don't have a sense of where things are going on the Klingon ship. It'll be interesting to see how all that pans out, so yeah. And of course my other complaint about the episode is there's still not enough Tilly, but at least when she is in it, she gets to be great. It's a bit disappointing to see that Stamets has gone back to being grumpy, but at least we're seeing repercussions of his experiments, and it's not all going to be, happy clappy that, that something is going to go horribly wrong. But it was really nice to see him address Tilly as captain, so that was really nice, and hopefully harping of what's to come, because we deserve to see her journey, because she's brilliant. So yeah, I kind of enjoyed the episode, but not quite as much as last week, and it felt sort of unfinished, incomplete. So yeah, that kind of tempered things. But yeah, still looking forward to next week's episode. Before I go, just a couple of things. We did, of course, get to see the Vulcan Admiral again, which, the whole first Vulcan in the Starfleet thing to do with Spock. I'm kind of with Andy's theory on this one, which is that maybe the Admiral didn't actually go through Starfleet. He was from one of the Vulcan navies, but, when they merged with the human fleet, he got given the rank of Admiral or something as a long service thing. So maybe Spock is just the first Vulcan to have actually gone through Starfleet Academy, rather than just, sort of being 2P'd in. I don't know. And also, there was a question of what the Gormagander was. I meant to mention this last week, but I was distracted by other things. I was wondering whether the name for the Gormagander, the space whale, came from, or was a derivative of Jormungandr, who was, as everyone knows, was the giant serpent that encircled the Earth in Norse mythology, who's swallowed his own tail, and it was said that when he released his tail from his own mouth, that was when Ragnarok would come. So, maybe given that last week featured a time loop, maybe that's where the name came from. Maybe I'm just stretching, but I don't know. I thought that was an interesting idea anyway. Oh, and after Peter's complaints about the music that they used on the starship, why can't they use something like Pink Floyd, which is a valid point. I must say I'm very disappointed to know that you completely failed to miss the Pink Floyd reference in my feedback from last week. Not that I'm expecting you to go to re-listen to it now, given that, there might be a song in it that you didn't notice or something, but yeah, anywho. Right, that's enough of my ramblings. Yeah, I'm interested to see where the mid-season conclusion takes us next week, so until then...
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. It didn't feel like half an episode to me, but I think that's because this is generally an arc series like most Netflixy things are, so the fact that there's stuff that hasn't been sorted yet didn't bother me.
Yeah, I was expecting more like this, to be honest, than like last week's, which was clearly a standalone thing, yeah.
I know she comes from the House of Liars and Deceivers, and she could have a bigger plan at play, the Klingon-y woman, but I've never really thought she liked that dude. No,
I think she definitely doesn't like that dude because, the room of corpses kind of, if nothing else, would put her off him. But yeah, it's a little bit hard to say with her, but there we are. But Admiral Greggs definitely moved when she dragged her into that room of corpses, so she ain't dead yet.
No, she's not going to be her own pasty.
No. And that whole thing about Tilly being recognised as captain, that's an interesting one, considering that Smitty's unstuck in time sometimes, and so can see the future. So who knows? Although it has to be said, considering Tilly's like the second to lowest ranked person in the entire ship, next to Michael, who clearly is no rank at all because she's naughty. That doesn't bode well for the rest of the crew, does it? Surely the point at which Tilly is the captain is the point at which there's pretty much only Tilly and Michael left. There we are. Who can say? And I've not seen Avatar, so I wouldn't have made that comparison. But these are definitely aliens on this planet, which I like.
I like that.
They've got the tech to do it. Just maybe a different colour in future. That would be good. Maybe,
they could have been purple.
They could have been purple. The squeeze of joy would have been heard around the world had they been purple or orange. No, it is orange aliens. Mind you, that would just look like Trump then, wouldn't it? So maybe that's not such a bad thing. Anyway. So, yes, we'll be covering episode 9 next week, and we're hoping against hope that it's got a half-decent title, preferably in English. But there we go.
Just a title in English would be a start.
Yes, definitely. We'll catch you then. Cheery bye.
Bye.
Blue jean, I'm just a little girl named Blue Jean. Blue Jean, she got a camouflage face and no money. Remember, they always let you down when you need them. got turned up nose.
The bOrgCast is brought to you by the lovely people at geekplanetonline.com.
All music referenced is for illustrative purposes only, and no copyright infringement is intended.
To contact us, you can use the forums at geekplanetonline.com.
Visit our Tumblr site at bOrgCast.tumblr.com.
Send email messages or MP3s to bOrgCast@geekplanetonline.com.
Or you can contact us via Twitter on rev_org or bOrgCastAmmo. Hashtag bOrgCast.
One day, I'm gonna write a poem in a letter. One day, I'm gonna get the faculty together. Remember, like everybody has to wait in line. Oh, blue jean, look out word, I've got mine. She got Latin roots. She got everything.
Shut it down!